The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation, make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels, operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Warrenton, Oregon, job number 29877 on your new apparatus. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. On the face of the bumper, you have a flush-mounted air horn on the right and left. In the center, flush-mounted, you have an electronic siren. Moving up onto the very top of the bumper, there is a bell. Moving just to the center, you have a tubbed storage area for hose and a diamond plate cover for this location. Moving to the far side, which is your operator side, this is a mechanical siren. Moving up onto the body on the outer edges, there are two right and left marker lights. Moving inward from that location in your headlight cluster are your low and high beam headlights. Moving up from that location in the next cluster of lights, this is your left and right turn indicator. And just inward of that turn indicator is a warning or emergency light. Moving up onto the top, you have 3 windshield wipers across your single glass windshield. Let's go ahead and take a look at the forward mounted mirrors. Moving up onto the brow of the apparatus, there are 3 lights located in the center. These are your running lights. On each right and left hand side, you have 2 forward-facing fixed floodlights, and at the very top, these are going to be your warning lights. Moving down to the very bottom, the right and left hand side, this is another general picture of those marker lights. And then on the very front of the bumper, located on the side, are additional warning lights. You can see the pull cord for your bell running inside to the passenger seat. We'll have more images of that in a few moments. Here are a few close-ups of those images that we just talked about. Looking at the lower section of your apparatus, you have 2 tow hooks. These are closed tow hooks at the very front. You can also see your TAC 4 suspension under this location. Let's go ahead and move to the very top, and we'll take a look at those forward-facing floodlights in addition with your emergency warning lights on each right and left side. This is your mirror. You have a top flat portion and a convex lower portion. Generalized view of the side of your apparatus. We'll talk about some of the components on this side next. Starting on the right hand side, this is going to be your shore inlet. This is a 20 amp shore inlet power plug. It has auto eject. This is also going to be your air auto eject input for an air chuck. Down at the bottom, you have Goodyear tires, and in the center you have a Stemco hub seal with visual indicator. Moving just under the front of the truck, you'll see that you have perimeter lights. This is going to be under the front step of the driver's seat. There are also perimeter lights at each entry point of your apparatus. Let's go ahead and take a look at the side view of your apparatus, and let's take a look. You have door handles which have keyed locks. In addition, with the door handle on the keyed lock, just beneath that you'll find a warning light, and just to the rear of that section, this vertical compartment, this is for long tool storage or board storage. Here is an image with that compartment door in the open position. Let's take a look underneath the apparatus. There are 2 drain valves located here on the driver's side. There are also perimeter lights in this area also. As you can see, just moving up from that perimeter light, you'll find an additional step. This is a pull-out style step. Once the step has been pulled out to its open position, the step will then unfold, and you'll have access to the full deck here in the next set of images. Moving up from this location, let's take a look at the very top section here. You'll find you have next to that board storage, hose storage location, and we'll talk a little bit about some of those components here. Behind the webbing here, you're going to find your number 1 crosslay, your number 2 crosslay, and then just to the back section of that, you're going to find a 2.5-inch crosslay. As we move just to the rear section, this is an additional through compartment here. And let's talk now generally about your pump, and we'll talk about some of the components there. Starting in the upper left-hand corner. First, let's take warning of an entanglement hazard with those hoses, but then let's move next to the right-hand side here. This is the information for your Husky 3 foam system. These are the specifications. To the right of it in the red section here, this is going to be the control module for your Husky foam system. Moving just to the right of that, this is going to be the tank level indicator for foam level A, and indicating from full all the way to refill. On the right hand side, this is your master intake gauge. Moving further right to that at the lower section, these are test ports for vacuum and pressure. Moving just up to the very top right hand side, this is your master discharge. And then we'll move down to the subsequent gauges across the bottom here. This is your front discharge. This was that tubbed area in the front bumper. This is the number 1 crosslay, which is just above where we're at now. And then next to that in yellow, this is your number 2 crosslay. All of these 3 all have the availability of foam to be added to those lines. Moving next to the 2.5-inch crosslay in gray, and then moving to the very far right-hand side, a wheel. This is going to be your discharge for your aerial device. Let's go ahead and move just to the right of that. This is going to be your Pierce TPG pressure. This is what runs your throttle and your pressure. At the right-hand side, there is a green indicator light must be lit prior to increasing the throttle, and just beneath that, this is an audible warning which is adjustable for an alarm. Let's move to the right-hand side. I've got a generalized view of these switches here, but let's go ahead and continue the discussion on the next set of images. In the upper right-hand corner, this is going to be a green light indicating your pump is engaged properly, and just beneath that, this is going to be a quarter turn valve to the right and left for your engine cooler. Let's go ahead and look down in this yellow section. This is your primer for your fire pump. Moving to the right-hand side, this is your tank water level, indicating full in green, and down at the very bottom, red empty. Moving to the right, this is the number 2 passenger side discharge. And then moving down to the next side, this is an electronic Acron valve indicating for your tank to pump. Here are some close-up views of your Husky foam system. This is your TPG system here for Pierce for your throttle control and pump control. Take a look at these switches here on the panel. We have a tip light, driver side scene, passenger side scene, generator on off, and in red, an air horn. As we move further down, you can see this is going to be your Hale master intake valve. This is what opens and closes your master intake, and to the left of that in the black quarter turn, this is your bleeder for that intake. To the right hand side, this is going to be your number 3 discharge. Let's move all the way to the left hand side of your pump panel, and let's take a look at some of those components. This is going to be your intake relief valve adjustment. Just above that is a gauge indicating the pressure. Moving to the right of that in purple, this is going to be your large diameter discharge. It's a wheel valve. And moving to the right hand side in green, this is your number 1 discharge. Moving over to the left, this is going to be your Hale offside or passenger side intake. This is an on-off switch for that. And just to the left of that, this is going to be the bleeder valve associated with that intake. Down at the very bottom, this is going to be your Pierce information, which houses your job information. It also handles your GPM, PSI, and RPMs associated with those pressures. Just beneath that, manifold drain. Beneath that is your auxiliary inlet drain, which is just on the right-hand side here. That'll be your next image. You can see here, this is a 2.5 inlet. This is the driver's side auxiliary inlet. Moving down to the right, you'll see all of these levers here are associated with color-coded drains. These are drains for crosslays number 1, accordingly across green, blue, and red. Let's go ahead and move to the other side of the large diameter intake, and there you will find this valve, which is your pump drain. Moving to the right on the red lever, you'll find your draft for foam and also the input for the tank itself, which is a coupling connection down below.
Moving to the right, there are two access panels. Behind those two access panels, let's start at the very top panel. This is going to be your foam drain. Just beneath the next access panel down from that, this is where you'll find information on your foam and how to activate in draining it or siphoning it. Generalized view of the side of your apparatus. Let's talk a little about this light. This light is located over the outrigger and is to help for positioning of that outrigger. Just beneath that compartment, you'll find two folding wheel chocks, and you can see just to the front of that, the second space there is your outrigger. Let's talk a little bit about this compartment. This is a two-door compartment. First, access the first door. Once you've opened that, you'll gain access to this lever, which will allow you to fully open this compartment. Inside this compartment, there is a roll-out shelf on the bottom and two fixed shelves and some components at the very top. Let's talk about those components next in the next set of images here. Once again, upper left-hand corner of that same compartment, this is the G1, which stands for Generator 1. This is your access panel or breaker panel for this set of switches. To the left-hand side, this is going to be your control for AC volts and a meter reading for your generator. Moving down to the very bottom of this, to access this door, once it's open, you're going to depress the black lever, which allows the shelf to fully pull to its outward position. To restore it, reverse the procedure by pushing the black lever to push it back in. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what is housed behind this compartment. This is the compartment which houses your tool board. This tool board is adjustable. You can mount tools on the front side and also on the back side. And this, through the mechanism on the right here, quarter turn allows this tool board to be open to a 90-degree angle. Once that tool board is open in its locked position, the only way to restore it is there a small pin located here on the actual hinge side. Lift that pin, which will allow the tool board to restore back to its original position, locked inside the cabinet. On the outriggers, there is an opportunity, if engaged in electricity, that you could become electrically energized. Please pay attention to this, and just up from that warning label, there is also a crush possibility. So please take a look at those hazard labels. Let's take a look at these compartments and what's behind the doors in here. First, let's start in the very front. This is your DEF. This is a 4.5 US gallon tank. This is for DEF. Just above that, there is a bottle storage location. Moving to the very back section, you're going to find an emergency light directly over the rear wheel. And just rear to this location, you'll find additional bottle storage here for 2 bottles. And then in the compartment just beneath that, you'll find your diesel, low sulfur diesel fuel in this compartment. Let's go ahead and take a look at the very rear compartment here. This is a tall compartment. In that tall compartment at the very bottom, once it's opened, by accessing that black lever, you'll gain full access to the compartment. You have 2 adjustable shelves here, and at the very bottom, a pull-out shelf. And you'll see down at the very far right-hand side, you're also going to have some shore power outlets in this compartment. Here are those shore power outlets in this compartment. They're in the lower third of the compartment. Underneath this compartment, this is also going to be where your stabilizers, we store the individual plats for those stabilizers. Looking just in between the ladder section here near the work light, this is an inclinometer for front to rear degrees of your apparatus for setting it up. This is a display of your ladder in the outward position. Let's move to the rear of the apparatus and talk about some of the components located on the rear of your apparatus. First, let's start down in the lower left-hand corner. This is your cluster of brake, turn, and reverse. Moving just inside of that and up just a slight bit, this is going to be a light switch for controlling your rear scene lights. Down to the very bottom, right and left side, this is going to be a warning light to the rear. Just up from that, this will be your rear stabilizer controls. Just to the center, right and left, you'll find there is an attachment hook here. There are also some warning labels underneath that attachment point. Moving up to the left, this is a storage location for ladders, and just opposite on the right for storage location. There is also a netted area here for hose storage, and at the very top of your apparatus, this is going to be a rear-facing floodlight. Down at the very bottom here, this is your master intake for your aerial. Just to the right, there is a pressure gauge for that aerial. Moving to the right, there is an access door which will house your drain. And just up from that access door, this is a right to left inclinometer for degrees on your aerial apparatus in its position. And also to the right of that, this is going to be a work light to be able to see the components within this area. Moving up from this location behind the silver door, once this door is accessed, you'll find compartment storage. And at the very top of this, near the running lights, is a rear or reverse camera. This is going to be the right-hand side controls for your outriggers. And then moving up, this is additional ladder storage. And just above that, also hose storage for your hose. Just a couple of close-ups of these individual components that we just talked about. These are those rear-facing lights. This is the switch that I mentioned earlier for your deck lights. And as we move further to the right-hand side and up to the very top of that switch, you'll find your ladders behind this compartment door. At the very bottom, you'll find the links of your ladders. This is an illuminated compartment at the very top. There are also long pole storage. In addition, there's also your foam hose in that location also. Behind this compartment door, this is going to be your stabilizers and also a diagnostic port or interface. Moving to the left-hand side, you'll see once again just a close-up of those cluster of reverse forward facing lights, or rear facing lights, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and look at a view of the very top here. This is going to be your reverse camera, which is displayed on your dash. In the center compartment here, you'll find just an open compartment space. Just a quick note on these attachment points. They are great attachment points, but please yield the warning labels underneath if you're choosing to using them as a lifting point, and also some information regarding looking in directly into the eye of this inlet. There are also crush hazard warning labels and also additional warning labels for using the attachment points. When this compartment door is open, you'll see the location of all of your valves accordingly for your outriggers. This is going to be on the very right-hand side, your diverter switch for accessing for emergency power. This is the location if you choose to go outside of the regular usage to move to those valves. In this storage compartment, you will find behind this access door your aerial drain. This is for your aerial drain prior to lowering the device to make sure that this is in the open position. Up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a variety of just different lights here. This is a reverse light and also an emergency light. Looking at the ladder storages on the right-hand side, the lower section here indicates the type of ladders that are stored here. You also have some folding ladders and some additional pike poles or long tool storage here. This compartment here houses that outrigger for the right-hand side. As you can see, as we look inside this compartment, there is an emergency stop mushroom, there is the override switch, and the individual passenger side and driver side stabilizers. Let's go ahead and take a few looks at some of the different components here on the passenger side. Once again, this is showing that ladder in the open position, and then we'll go ahead and look through each individual compartment as we move forward on the passenger side. In this compartment, you're going to find when you access this two-compartment door, similar storage as the opposite side. It's the same mechanism to gain access into this compartment. You're going to find a rollout storage door on the very bottom or shelf, and then two fixed storage shelves above from that location. Same concept with moving this storage shelf out is to press the black lever, which allows you to gain full access to this compartment when the shelf is in its outward position. Let's take a look in the upper right-hand corner. This is going to be shoreline outlet. This is when you're plugged into shore power. You have a 15 amp circuit here. And let's take a look in this long compartment here. When this compartment door is open, you're going to find additional storage here. There is a fixed mounted shelf here, which is adjustable. And let's go ahead and take a look at the rear wheel area. You'll find, similar to the other side, you'll find bottle storage in both of these compartments. The front compartment and the rear compartment offer the same size bottle storage, and then over the center you'll find, just as you did on the opposite side, an emergency warning light. Let's now take a look at the outrigger. You'll find a crush warning label here because this is a moving part, in addition with the lower section of a danger indicator here for electrical interference or contact. Moving down just beneath that, you'll also find a warning label for your exhaust. Your exhaust is extremely hot, and be cautious as to where you park next to. To the left of the exhaust is the stabilizer and the pad to the right of that. Once again, same light on the side here for accessing the ability to place your stabilizer in a properly placed lit area. And this is going to be a light just above that compartment, which is adjustable. Now into the long compartment just forward of your pump panel. Same thing, 2-compartment door. To gain access into this, lift this black lever just as you did in the others. This will gain full access to 2 adjustable shelves that are currently in the fixed position and a pull-out shelf on the very bottom. Same lever methodology in opening this shelf and restoring it to original position. In this compartment, there is also a 15-amp shoreline outlet. Just underneath this section here is your aerial stabilizer pads. Moving forward of this location, you're also going to find your pump panel on the passenger side, and we'll talk a little bit about those components next. First up top, you have your 200-foot electrical cord. To the right of that, a pass-through compartment, and once again, the location for the opposite side for pulling out those hoses. You have the 2.5 crosslay in addition with the number 1 and number 2 crosslays. Let's go ahead and take a look down here at this lower section. You have a 2.5-inch discharge, a large diameter discharge, and then you also have at the very bottom section here your large diameter intake. And the very far right hand side in the silver area, you also have your 2.5-inch intake. This is going to be the button for your reel rewind for your electrical cord. Just inside, an additional access panel because it's an electronic valve for the large diameter passenger side. That's the access door for that. To the right on the lower right hand side, this is going to be your cab controls. This is the lift operation instruction guide for lifting the cab. Make sure items are secure prior to moving your cab. Down in the left, this is your air bleeder for your large diameter intake, and then subsequently, but the very bottom, those are your bleeder valves. Generalized view between the cab and the pump panel, you'll find that long compartment for tools or bottle storage. Moving up to the very front, you'll also find your emergency warning light and a grab handle. Generalized view of the passenger side of the vehicle. We'll talk a little bit about more of those components, but let's first look underneath the bottom section. There are additional perimeter lights throughout every point of access. This is going to be near the midship area of the pump. There's a step next to it and also a perimeter light. This is going to be that step located just in the pump section area, midship area. And as we move forward, this is the rear section behind the front tire, perimeter light also located here. And in the very front access door to the passenger seat, there is additional perimeter lights here. Let's take a generalized look at the front of your apparatus, and now we'll start talking a little bit about your ladder. Let's take a look at the 4-section fly of your ladder. 107 feet is the length. At the very top, you have on both the right and left-hand side floodlight forward-facing adjustable. As we move down, you also have a chainsaw scabbard for your chainsaw. And as we move even down further than that, you're going to find this valve location here, which turns off the main water flow for your apparatus point. This is the lever mechanism which allows you to pen your waterway away from the tip at a lower section. Moving just forward of that location, you'll find this is your nozzle. It's currently in its stowed position. And as we look further to the side, this is the nozzle control for moving your nozzle left and right, up and down, and fog position. At the very top, this is the speaker to talk to the person at the base, and this is your speaker control location for increasing and decreasing the volume. Generally looking at the left-hand side of your cover, this is going to be information for weights and distributive information for when water is flowing and not flowing, and hazard labels down below. The very top, speaker here for communications to the person on the tip, and just beneath that, this will be the control box. The same control box and speaker are located at the tip as they are here. Moving down onto the console, this is going to be your mushroom or emergency stop. And then you'll find a variety of different controls on this panel also. This is the Pierce Command Center, which allows you to gain access for information also. These are your control valves for up and down, left and right, and extend. This is going to be a compartment at the base of your ladder, storage compartment, and you can see it's opening from the left-hand side here is where the mechanism to unlatch that device to let the door open. This is a 4-section ladder. This is just a generalized view from the base moving forward to the tip. There are 2 fold-down steps in this location where the waterway would be pinned. There are also lights on the both right and left pointing toward the tip. You can see that there are also forward-facing lights on, once again, right and left, just a different angle here on this picture. On the inner fly here, you will find that there is an attachment point for tools. There are also the fold-down steps in this location. Let's go ahead and take a look at the very tip of the ladder. You can see this is that attachment point for pinning the waterway back simply by rotating that back to the next section. This is going to be controls for the tip of your ladder, and this is going to be on your right hand side, electrical power, and just moving up from that location, your speaker for communications from the ground up to the tip. Let's go ahead and take a look here. This is a nozzle control once again for the tip of your ladder. You can see it's got a work light to illuminate this. These are close-ups of your 20 amp power outlet in addition with your speaker. This is your left side floodlight, and there's also one on the opposite side here on the right side. These are adjustable. Looking as a general view of the ladder here from the tip moving to the back or base of the ladder, you'll see you also have at the base section these fold-up, no-step devices for allowing people to gain access in and out, but not allow someone to fall out of this guarded area. Let's take a look now at the side of the apparatus. You'll find at all access points, you're going to find this warning label regarding seatbelt usage. This is looking from the rear section into the cab. You have 2 rear-facing SCBA seats. Let's go ahead and take a look overhead in this cab section. Same point of view, looking overhead. This is going to be your AC unit, in addition with push-on, push-off red and white lights in the rear section of the cab. Located in the center, about floor level, this is going to be an access point to gain access for checking fluids without having to tip or tilt your cab. This is your engine oil and transmission. There is also a light just inside here for ease of access. As you can see here, you have 2 forward-facing center-mounted SCBA seats. You can visually see the red seat belts that are very obvious to see if they're on. This is going to be up behind the passenger seat. This is your air compressor for your air brakes, in addition with your 12-volt power supply. Moving just inside, you're going to find reflective tape on all doors, and just above that, you're going to find your warning and hazard labels regarding the use and wear of seat belts. Moving just inside to the cab, you're going to find a warning label here. This is in regards to your vehicle is equipped with an SRS, which is your supplemental strength system, located at the very top in gray, and you can see the lanyard here for your bell. Moving just to the right-hand side here, this is the fill location for your front windshield wipers. And just above that location on the A-pillar passenger side, there is a handle, and looking up at the very top, you're going to find a, once again, push-on, push-off red light. Let's go ahead and turn around and take a look at the inside. Sitting forward, this is going to be a clear visor that is smoked to reduce sun glare. As you look, this is your SRS where your airbag is stored. Do not block this or mount anything in its vicinity. On the upper right-hand corner of the dash A-pillar, you're going to find the air horn push button, in addition with siren brake and siren. On the left-hand side, you're going to find 2 barrel 12 volts, in addition with a USB style at the very bottom in the black. Go ahead and look overhead of the passenger. You're going to find 2 future locations for additional components, and to the very far left, you're going to find your PA system and also electronic siren. Moving just over slightly above that location, you're going to find your seatbelt information from Pierce. Red indicating that someone is there but not belted. Green indicated someone sitting in the seat but belted. In the very center here, this red light, extremely important. This is your do not move the apparatus when this light is lit. It's indicating that you have a compartment ajar or open. This is a close-up of the Pierce indication for your seatbelts. You can see there are 2 seats occupied. They are red, meaning that they are not belted. Generalized view overhead of the cab from the passenger seat. Let's go ahead and look once again at the driver's side. This is that warning label at all access points for the safety of seat belts. In the driver's side, you're also going to find your auto charger. This is from your shore power indicating battery level. Generalized view looking into the cab. Let's now move into some of the components inside this area. First, let's start with your warning for diesel exhaust, and then just down from that, equipment damage and caution signs here. And in the other specific importance here is this yellow placard on the right-hand side. This is your Pierce information for your apparatus. It houses a variety of information here. One, for the manufacturer date. It also offers your job number on this. It also offers gross vehicle weight ratings. In addition, with a VIN, the VIN's located on the next section down. The VIN can also be located on the A-pillar on the driver's hinge door. This also has fluid capacities, the amount and types of fluid for all parts of your apparatus. Let's go ahead and take a look at a general picture here. Left knee area of the operator starting at the bottom. This is your ABS diagnostic, DPF regen, engine diagnostic, and also regen inhibit. Just above that in the silver, you have your battery switch for on and off. You have your command zone diagnostic port and also engine transmission ABS diagnostic port in green. On the right-hand side, about knee height, this is going to be your pump for road-to-pump actuation. This is OK to engage the pump and OK to pump. They are both green lights, and the lever in yellow is a pull, and then move the black lever down to engage that. Follow the instructions on that information placard. On the left-hand side, just on the operator side, you have your ignition switch and start switch. Moving to the right, you have an emergency master switch, headlights, and panel light rocker for dimming and brightening your panel light. Just to the right of that, this is going to be your main mirror adjustments. And then looking as a generalized view from the steering column, your steering wheel is equipped with an SRS supplemental restraint airbag with inside it. Let's go ahead and look at the dash here, and I'll give you some information on the components here. First, on your far left, your transmission temperature, oil, DEF level, and water. In the center, you have your RPMs or tachometer and your speedometer on the right. Informational displays just above that and just below that. To the right-hand side, you're going to find your volts, front and rear air, and your fuel level. At the very bottom on the right, there is a push-on to display the yellow screen that's currently lit for your mileage and hours of your vehicle. Let's go ahead and now move all the way to the right-hand side of the operator center console area. This is where you're going to find your Pierce Information Center, a set of switches, and also your system brakes and command zone area information. First, let's start with your engine on-off brake. The high and low on that brake, you have your off-road traction, you have mirror heat, and in the red switches here, you have your mechanical siren and your siren brake. Let's move just to the right of that location or downward from this location. This is where you're going to find the Pierce Information Center. This houses a variety of information similar to the gauges on your dash. This provides you an electronic in addition with seatbelt information and a compartment ajar. Let's go ahead and look just to the downward position of that. This is where you're going to find your Allison transmission pad. You'll also see on the left-hand side the diamond-shaped. This is your pull to apply parking system brakes and push to release. In the upper right, you're going to find your pump in drive. At the very top over the operator's head, you'll find this yellow placard. Let's talk a little bit about that placard. Is the height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating 11 feet 8 inches, 38 feet 10 inches, and 28.15 tons. This also houses your job number on it, as does the yellow information guide down by the operator's feet. Overhead, you have your emergency master. You have your upper warning lights, lower warning, electronic siren, and air horn, and an additional future switch there on the far right. Let's go ahead and move to the right of this switch bank to the next set of switches. You'll find your stabilizer spots. This is for spotting your stabilizers. Your aerial master PTO, which is a master switch. Your generator PTO, 2 future locations, and your ladder rope lights. Moving further over, this is the front flood, driver side flood, passenger side flood, the deck lights, perimeter light, in addition to your load manager. Let's go ahead and move over. This is the light located in the very center, very important light. This is your do not move the apparatus when this light is on. This light is indicating that something is not properly stowed, whether it's a compartment door or a door that's ajar. Just moving to the rear, kind of a blurry picture here. This is your rear seats facing forward. They are SCBA mounted seats. You can easily see and readily identify the red seat belts also if they are in the on position. Let's go ahead and move from this location to the very top of your apparatus. This is your water fill tank. The ladder is currently in its up position to gain access to this, and also your foam fill tank. This is a latched tank lid. Moving just to the rear of that, this is going to be your generator information here on the left, and as you see on the right, this is your generator fill location for fluids. Also to the right is your 200-foot electrical reel. You can see a little bit closer view of the reel, and to the left you can see the fill location for the fluid here. Congratulations, Warrenton, Oregon, on your new apparatus, job number 29877. If you have any questions regarding the content of this video, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and have a good day.